What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS3 Raw TV. So we got something interesting tonight. Now I want to preempt this with, I don't hate vegans. Okay, I got to say that up front because people that are vegan might take this very personal and freak the fuck out. But listen, it's the truth, okay? It's legit the truth. And I think that, you know, if you want to look at veganism or meat eaters or whatever, you should look at it from all angles. Not just like what that type of lifestyle will paint, what kind of picture it paints or what kind of agenda it gives you to follow. You should look at everything. Now, one of the big things in the last year is climate change, right? Climate change is happening and it's due to like meat consumption. Like that's what many vegans are saying. And now we have that little Greta girl jumping on board, the fucking girl with Asperger's that's fucking like, oh, she's always like freaking the fuck out. And we have like Arnold Schwarzenegger backing her up about the vegan thing and stuff. Now, it's not about like we love animals and we want to make sure the animals are safe, right? Now it's about like carbon emissions and the carbon footprint and, you know, destroying the climate and destroying the world, all this stuff. Now listen, the vegan or plant-based movement has pointed the finger at meat eaters saying, you guys are ruining the planet. We must change now. That's what that Greta girl is saying. That's what Arnold, we need to change now. He says, now we need to make the change now in order to survive later, right? He's going through this whole shit, right? Listen to this. Now this came out 2 weeks ago. This actually came out. I'm just finding it now. I'm a little slow with this stuff. So let me get over here to this piece. It says, so it turns out, well, this is 8 days ago. I'm sorry, the other one was 2 weeks ago. It says, so it turns out is the headline, big headline. Tofu and all these other vegan foods are ruining the planet. Now that's what caught my attention and what would probably catch your attention, right? And me saying that probably makes you go, okay, I'm listening. Like, you know, you're interested now. So it turns out almond milk is actually really damaging the planet. It's putting tons of pressure on bees, causing them to die in 130, it takes 130 pints of water are needed to produce just one glass of wholesome almond milk. So it takes a ton of water. So the processing of this almond milk is what they're talking about. And now you thought, okay, well, I'll change to oat milk and I'm still being really good to the planet because I eat tofu instead of chicken. Well, it turns out tofu is pretty bad too. A new study by Dr. Graham McAuliffe, excuse me, has revealed tofu could be more harmful to the planet than chicken. Vegans are freaking out right now as soon as they make that statement. More than chicken, beef, and pork total. Speaking at the National Farmers Union, Dr. Graham of the Rothschild Institute said after researching tofu, he's concluded that it causes more environmental damage because of the production to make the processed protein source. Okay? So even though you're just, like, you're not going out there picking it, right? To get the tofu, to get whatever, there's machines that are doing this, machines that are processing it, right? Even to get the vegetables that are grown, it's like these giant combines that are tearing them up and processing them. It's not like these farmers out there picking them by hand, right? Everything is automated nowadays. So it's like, people are not even thinking about that. They're thinking about, you know, the people killing. They're actually saying stuff like cow farts, like the emissions from cows. And I'm like, what the fuck? So if we stop eating the cows, there'll be more cows and more of them will fart. Like, so a lot of things just don't make sense, right? He said, but if you look into tofu, which is processed so there is more energy going into its production, when you correct for the fact that the protein in it is not as digestible compared to meat-based products, you can see that it would actually have higher global warming potential than any of the monogastric animals. To get the same amount of protein, tofu is actually worse. Tofu has been found damaging for the environment by the WWF, not the wrestling organization, the World Wildlife Foundation, 10 years ago. They found the production of soya, which is tofu is made out of, increases dependence on imported commodities. AKA, the more tofu we use, the more gets shipped, flown over, and produces more carbon emissions. A lot of the tofu we consume in the UK, this is the UK, by the way, this is happening in, is produced in Japan, the US, and Netherlands. So a lot of the emissions getting produced just so you can feel the environmental hero. So basically they're saying, for us to get the tofu, right, all these emissions are happening. It's actually worse. We should just eat the chicken. It's not the tofu and milk substitutes, which seem to be a lot worse for the planet than we originally thought. Here are the vegan products which are not actually ethical or great for the environment. Avocados, right? Avocados from Mexico. They get that new commercial out, right? It says, the basic bitches would be without their precious avocados, toast brunches. Well, in a more environmentally sustainable world, for one, the production of avocados requires a lot of water, more than double that of oranges. The increase in popularity has also meant the land needed to be where you plant the avocados. The land has been cleared to plant more avocado trees. They're destroying the land. They're wiping out land and forests and trees and stuff and vegetation so they can plant more avocados. So technically they're destroying the other plants that actually give off the oxygen that we need, right? So I'm like, holy shit, like nobody's even thinking about this shit, right? Then there's the carbon footprint of transporting the avocados. Of course, avocados from Mexico, they're transporting them in from Mexico, and then they're advertising them as avocados from Mexico. So we're not even growing them here, right? Cashew nuts in vegan cheese. Cashews are one of the most popular nuts, and they're also used to make a lot of vegan cheeses. However, the harvesting of cashews can be revealed to be extremely unethical. The majority of cashews come from India, where workers have to prise the cashew out from its shell. I don't know what that means. But between the actual cashew and the outer shell, there are caridol and arachidonic acids, which cause significant burns to workers' hands. Anacardic acids. I don't know. So it's kind of a hard tongue twister right there. It slows down work as they get paid by the kilo. The workers cannot afford to shell the cashews at a slower pace. So this stuff has... I'm sitting here going, these are things that I never thought about. I'll be honest with you. Like, I never thought twice about this shit. Palm oils. Unless you've been living under a rock, you'll know that palm oil is nearly everything. Is really bad for the planet. Palm oil is used in a lot of foods that vegans rely on, like nut butters, vegan cheese, vegan butters, etc. The production of palm oil is one of the major contributors to deforestation, which is endangering a number of species and produces millions of greenhouse gases. Now think about that. Save the animals. And then they want this cashew palm oil. This is the palm oil. They want the palm oil made with and all this vegan stuff. And it's destroying the place where these animals live. These animals are becoming endangered because people want more of this stuff made. They want more of it produced, right? Quinoa. Quinoa is a stable carb for vegans and Waitrose mummies. I don't even know what that means. These are some words that are in the UK that I don't really understand. I don't know why they say them. So the increase in popularity has caused an increase in price, and the native growers in Bolivia can no longer afford to eat the crop that they grow. This is quinoa. Just quinoa, coconut, everything. Flour, milk, sugar, oil. Coconut is literally in everything. Obviously, we don't grow coconuts in the UK. Neither do a lot of countries, meaning, again, we have to incur a lot of carbon emissions in order to get the coconut into the country. Not only that, but the increase in demand has led farmers to having to use the chemical fertilizers to ensure productivity of the soil. So this is just a few of the things that they've kind of talked about in this article. But these are real things, right? So you think about meat. Stop eating meat. That one thing. And vegans mean meat. It doesn't matter what animal it is. Stop eating meat. They have one thing they want you to do. Stop eating meat. However, this is like 4 or 5 things that vegans eat, not just one, not just meat, that fuck up the earth, plain and simple. That nobody's talking about, nobody's thinking about. I didn't even fucking know about it, to be honest with you. It caught my attention. The headline caught my attention. And I started to do some more research, and I realized, yeah, you know what? They do ship a lot of different foods that are these vegan foods from one place to another. Just the carbon emissions alone are worse for the planet than a cow fart. You know what I mean? Let's be 100% real. You know, and deforestation that's causing animals to become extinct or endangered, you know, that's the opposite of what you're trying to do. You're trying to save life, right? You're trying to save the animals. The animals are more important than the plants. Yet you wipe out their entire fucking home to plant more avocados because you like them on your fucking toast, right? So some shit that I think that before vegans point the finger at anyone, I think they should look at themselves and decide whether or not what they're doing is the right thing, right? I'm not saying that vegans should go be meat eaters. I'm not saying meat eaters are better than vegans. What I'm saying is, the hypocritical thing is vegans are pointing the fingers at meat eaters, saying that they're doing all this stuff to destroy the world and climate change and all this stuff, including that Greta girl. I guarantee you that Greta girl drinks almond milk. She eats fucking tofu. She's doing all the things that are ruining the climate and ruining the earth, but yet pointing to us, meat eaters, because I eat meat, saying that we have to stop eating meat. And Schwarzenegger's buying into this stuff. What the fuck is wrong with him? I always considered him a very intelligent guy, a very charismatic guy. He can't do the research on this stuff to look at this stuff. I mean, when I saw the article, I actually did a lot of research on it and found that there's a lot of bullshit in those foods that are causing just as much harm to people. Get this, because the vegans always talk about, like, well, just go on a plant-based diet. Well, there's so many new things like this Impossible Burger with the fake heme that's in it that can actually be toxic to you. All these new plant-based foods that are coming out are processed foods, and there's a lot of shit that are fucking up humans. But in the process of making the processed foods, because they're processed, that's where the emissions comes out. That's where the carbon footprint is left. So now you have a big carbon footprint, as well as putting things in your body that are not good for it, right? You're not just eating just plain vegetables, right? Not eating just plain fucking bowls of plain rolled oats or steel-cut oats, right? They're trying to make everything taste like fucking meat nowadays, or they're trying to make everything taste so good and spice it up and use all these different flavors and shit. Half the shit that you're using flavor-wise also has chemicals and shit in it that are processed. That process that it takes to make that is causing just as much issue with the climate as the fucking meat. And I'll be honest with you, I don't really know if the meat is the problem with the fucking climate. I'll be honest with you. I don't know this shit. I'm not really big into it. I don't really give a fuck either. Whatever's happening is happening. I'm going to live my life and fucking make the best choices I can, but I'm not going to go out there and argue with everybody and fucking walk around with a sign fucking telling everybody what they should think. Okay? I look at the science. I look at what people are saying. I look at what the fads are. And I start making my decisions based on that. Right? Based on the science and not being fucking stupid, we're now seeing that the vegan diet, unless you're eating just plain vegetables that you picked yourself and you didn't use something that was processed or farmed, which takes more emissions, then you would be doing a lot better. But that's not what vegans are doing. All right, they're buying pre-made stuff. They're buying stuff at stores. They're not doing it themselves. So now pretty much here you are. Let's go ahead and say, for argument's sake, the meat eaters are fucking up the world, right? It's the cow farts that's fucking it up. Well, 50% is the meat eaters, 50% is the vegans. So guess what? We're all in even fucking ground again. Every time you turn around, it seems like one group of people wants to blame the others. And when you really get down to it, what winds up happening is we wind up doing the same shit. We wind up being the same in the end anyways. Like, isn't that what our fucking whole goal is to be anyways? All be equal in the first place? And then when shit like this happens and it shows basically that they're fucking the world up equal, that makes you equals. Doesn't make the vegans above the fucking meat eaters or the meat eaters above the vegans. It makes you guys fucking equal. What the fuck are we complaining about? What are we fighting about? It makes no fucking sense. So, vegans, I'm sorry. I wish that I didn't have to say this today because I know you guys are fucking fighters to the death about vegans, and you will fucking twist anything around, turn anything around. I've seen it. Some vegans out there are totally cool. They'll take this into fucking consideration and go, fuck, I didn't know. They may continue their vegan diet, but they're not going to be like, this is not real. They'll go, okay, that sucks. I wish I wasn't like that, but I'm going to continue to be vegan because I love animals. But there's going to be some other people like, that's not real, this is not real, that's not only what I say is real. Only what fucking I found on the internet is real. Look, everybody can find whatever you want on the internet. Tracking it down and actually doing the research and finding out where it came from, who did it, things like that, who wrote it, all that stuff, that makes it much more intelligent of a decision to make rather than just pointing at, I saw this thing on the internet and it said this. Be real, guys. I think that this is common sense. What this article talks about is common sense that most of us haven't even thought about. Most vegans don't even want to think about because they don't want to think that they're doing anything wrong. They want to think that they're doing the best thing they can for the planet, and I do believe that comes from a good place. I don't believe they're trying to be assholes. I believe they're coming from a great place of they're trying to love the planet and help. But just because your heart's in the right place doesn't mean you're doing the right thing. So take into account that maybe, just maybe, you might not be doing the right thing. It's time to start really thinking about what's really going on out there. BossTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BossTraining.com is a blog. It's to think about what's going on bicep, and we are